Hello and welcome to week 2 in biopsychology, where we are going to actually dive into biopsychology. Chapter 1, looking at the cellular foundation of behavior. And so this chapter kind of has sort of like three main areas. First, introducing you to the world of biopsychology, which sets a goal for itself. That goal is to make an effort to explain the entirety of the human experience through biology. You and I don't necessarily automatically do that. We might consider inspiration. We might consider powers beyond us that influence our behavior and whatnot, and experiences that teach us something. But in this class, there's a concerted effort to explain everything that we observe in human beings through biology. The second concept is the philosophical perspectives that the world of biopsychology adopts in order to do just that. Those are, first, the physiological explanation. When we look at behavior that's happening, someone gets angry. I'll use getting angry as the example. We look at somebody get angry, there are physiological components to that. There's a raising in blood pressure and heart rate, breathing starts to happen, there's electrochemical impulses that go across the brain, there's things in the amygdala, the emotional centers, there's processing memories, there's the interpretation of all that, and we can trace that in terms of the different physiological processes that are happening that indicate someone is angry. We can measure angry, measuring the body. So that is one way to explain anger from a biopsychology perspective. First one is biological. The second one is ontogenetic. In addition to that, they all apply at the same time. The ontogenetic perspective says that those biological processes will change over time. So, at the developmental perspective coming up here again. So, there's a genetic component that has to do with how anger is expressed and how it's expressed differently across the lifespan. So, depending on the person's age, if the person's 5, their reactions, their behaviors that we define as anger will demonstrate themselves differently based on age. So that's the developmental perspective. So there's a genetic component that allows for that process to happen. It allows us to explain that process and what we're observing. We say that's the kind of reaction that we would see in a 5-year-old, and a 10-year-old, 12-year-old, those kinds of things. The third one is the evolutionary perspective, and it ties with the last one, which is functional. But the evolutionary perspective is, let's imagine that you have human beings that are evolving over time. And we ask ourselves sort of a thought experiment. Why would it be useful to have that behavior? Why would it be useful to have anger? Now, we know from the biological perspective that the redistribution of blood, the redistribution of hormones, the breathing, the heart rate, the emotional centers in the brain firing up, that we're ready to defend ourselves, attack something, do something that's very difficult. It's an energy source. It's a fabulous source of motivation for individuals to overcome. So let's say in a battle, you have two individuals in the ancient world who are going after each other to fight over the cave, and one of them has the capacity to get angry and the other one doesn't. The one that can get angry will have more physiological resources available to them, and they'll be able to defeat their opponent and get the cave and have kids and pass on that genetic information to their kids. So it's a thought experiment, particularly when you're looking at complex modern behaviors. You got to think, well, what would be the evolutionary advantage of this developing in human beings? The third way to explain human behavior biologically. The fourth way is very similar to that, but it applies to the modern world. You ask yourself, what is the advantage of having this behavior in the modern world? Why is it good to have anger in the modern world? What are the constraints upon anger in the modern world? But it serves a function. And I said before, motivation is a big one. Now, we may live in a modern society, and we're hoping it's not going in another direction, although there's evidence that it is, that we are civil. We're a civil society. When we're angry, we don't hit people all the time. Sometimes we find more constructive ways. But our added energy into finding constructive ways to deal with problem situations that have angered us is motivated by the energy that comes from being angry. I mean, imagine getting a bad grade from your instructor. Now, whether you're angry at yourself for not studying or whether you're angry at that person for not giving you a good grade might not matter, but you're like, darn it, I'm going to do better next time. I refuse to be, you're looking at some facial stuff. It's not a rage, but you're angry. That energy could drive you to study more, to be more available, to learn information, to spend more time in the material and do better. So you can see in the modern world, it has utility. So we have the field of biopsychology trying to explain everything biologically. And then you have these four perspectives: the biological, the mechanism that explains it; ontological, the genetic changes that happen over time; evolutionary, what did it mean back then, and how is it important for survival that it got selected; and then functional, in terms of what purpose does it serve in the modern world. And through all those, when you look at any behavior and you look at them from all four of those perspectives, you can come up with a pretty good explanation for that behavior based on biology. So that's what I'll be asking you to do that. Last part of the chapter focuses on the actual cellular structure of the nervous system, the neurons and glial cells, the actual physiology of the nervous system. So in the discussion, it's a curious discussion because I'm having you do steps in the discussion rather than just the open-ended, answer my prompt and reply to two people. You're actually going to produce two prompts. The first prompt that you're going to do, you're going to select from a list of categories of behavior and a behavior within that category if you want to do that. If you want to go a little deeper and do a subcategory, that's fine. That list is found in the course book. If you look at the course book here under the discussion, you'll see the categories of human behavior: strategy, communication, thinking, knowledge, experimentation, emotion, empathy, motivation, social behavior, social status, cooperate, on and on. Just look at all of these behaviors and you just post, I'm going to do, I'll take one of the, just say, competition, the desire to win. People who work hard to win at games. You post that as your first post. That you're just stating which category and you're stating the behavior. Then you are going to reply to your own post. Probably could just be in the main post, but anyway, do a reply to the main post, to your post, and choose one of those perspectives to explain your behavior. So let's say you chose the biological explanation. So what you have for you right now is your category and behavior, and then the biological explanation. Other people are going to be doing the same thing. Your task is to find another person's behavior, look at the responses to that individual, and fit in a missing one. So let's say another person is posted and they have a biological perspective. Then another person came and gave the evolutionary perspective on that behavior in a reply. You're going to say, okay, I'm going to do the ontological one. And that's your first reply post. I'm hoping that what we'll see is a thread for every student that starts with their topic, and then a minimum of 4 posts to that, including your own, that cover the 4 perspectives. That's a goal. I want that as a goal. So I should see, when I look up for grading, I should see you, and I should see 3 posts. I should see your main post, actually 4 posts. I should see your main post, your reply to your own, doing one of those perspectives, and then 2 other posts replying to others to add another perspective to their thread. I hope that explanation went over okay. So it's kind of a unique kind of discussion with, a little bit higher level expectations in terms of your behavior. The quiz focuses on that second half of the chapter, which is the structural components, the building blocks of the nervous system, mainly the neuron itself and the glial cells that support them. So the first one, you summarize the function of the neuron. The second question, the function of the glia. And then I'm asking you to describe in a 1-paragraph statement, how does the nervous system sustain the active potential? Resting potential. Sorry, there's another active. How does the nervous system maintain the resting potential? This is explained in detail in the course book, and you can look it up on the web. Just put resting potential. How does that work? And then I want you to give me a 1-paragraph summary. I should see some scientific terms. I should see ions being mentioned. Ion channels should be mentioned. Those kinds of, the electrical charge both inside the cell and outside the cell. I should see all of those components coming together in a succinct paragraph describing how the nervous system maintains its resting potential. Okay, and that's it for this class. That's it for this week. So that's chapter 1. Enjoy this exploration to them. Really looking to see how that discussion is going to work. Going to be cool. I hope. And so have a great week. I will see you online, and take care.